You're watching The Luke Bryan Show.
All right, so this is the Luke Bryan here show today, and we're interviewing Paul Donaldson. And Paul is a prominent member of our community, and has done a lot of work in the charitable sector, and actually is an investment advisor as well. But Paul and I became friends a number of years ago, and well, I don't know. Can I call you a friend, Paul? Is that okay?
Yeah, you're okay now. Yeah, we've gotten past that.
Can I call you a friend, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. You're awesome.
It's one of the hazards of being a lawyer is that sometimes people don't want to call you their friend. But in any event, Paul and I, you and I met on the Community Services Board. Now, I think it's 2010 I came on the board, and I think you've been on since 2006. But maybe talk a bit about your I guess our involvement in community services, your passion for giving back, and kind of how our friendship developed over time through that initial meeting.
It goes back a while now, right? Like you and I have been through a few things, Luke.
Absolutely.
With Chilliwack Community Services. The time that you got on the board at the time, Chilliwack Community Services was dealing with some financial issues along with some HR issues, and the board went from a full complement. I think at the end it got down to just four of us.
It did, yeah.
Me and you and two others.
Yeah.
Since then, the organization has flourished. More so under my leadership than your leadership, I thought.
Do you guys just trade as the chair? Or
Yeah. There's a period of time where Luke would be chair and I'd be vice chair, and then I'd be chair and he'd be vice chair.
It was like wrestling. It's tag team.
Yeah.
I tag him in, he tags me out.
Bad cop, good cop. Which year is it?
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to cut that out, right?
Well, we had this thing, Paul and I, is generally he was always bad cop, and then I was always good cop. But then one time I was bad cop, and I'm like, this is kind of fun. I get why he likes it.
Now it's just always bad cop.
Yeah, now he's just bad cop. And Brian, you kind of get that.
I got to be a good cop. I got to be a good cop.
People like you. That's why they like you.
Luke's pretty good at being bad cop, too. I don't have it in my bones.
So we... Chilliwack Community Services, I think that's something we're quite proud of. When you look at an organization and why I kind of give back, my big thing is I strongly believe in giving back to organizations where, they really help people in the time of need. And everybody at some point or other needs a little bit of help. And Chilliwack Community Services, I think, is one organization that does just that. And it makes our community stronger. So that's why I believe in that organization, and that's why I'm committed to continue to get back. And eventually they're going to kick me off the board. Well, I think Luke's going to kick me off the board.
If you don't kick him off first.
I'm president now, so I hold the hammer.
So yeah, and then through that we the Starfish program kind of landed on our plate really through. We were approached by a community member, Allison Colthorpe, about using Chilliwack Community Services as the donation process for raising money for Starfish Backpack Program. Immediately you and I kind of thought that was an amazing program, and that's really just meeting the needs for kids over the weekend. And it's actually, I don't know, was it over 600 kids, school kids in Chilliwack were participating in this program?
I think for Bulls of Hope, there's over 600. I think now we're feeding 250 kids a week for the Starfish program.
But it's 250 families.
Right. Okay, you're right. That is correct. It's 250 families. That is correct. And so some of these families, they have kids under school age, and then those kids are also getting fed by the food that's coming home on the weekend. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so 250 families is pretty amazing.
Basically, Paul, it sounds like, so the Starfish Backpack Program, like every Friday, essentially fill up a backpack, and then they go home for the weekend and then come back. What's in those backpacks? And
yeah, see, this is where Luke and I are really good. We don't have anything to do with that. So it's a backpack full of food. Yeah. We have no idea what's in it. There's other great people who put food in the backpack. I don't even think it's a backpack anymore. I think it's a bag of food.
I think it is a bag of food now. But we raise the money. That's a big part of what we do. And so one of the things we did this year that was really cool was the sturgeon fishing fundraiser. And that's a real vision you had, and you and I executed that together. Let's talk a bit about what that was and where that idea came from and how it went.
That was such a great event too.
Yeah, it was a fun event.
Yeah.
And that event, like we're gonna be careful. Like all these ideas are kind of like we get pissed off and we're we're gonna do that.
Well, let's not talk about that part.
I don't know. So so where did the idea come from? So the idea came from the fact that in Chilliwack we're known for sturgeon fishing. People from
it's world renowned.
Yeah, all across the world come here to go sturgeon fishing. So the idea was like, how can we bring people into our community for a fundraising event? And, it's a win-win. People go sturgeon fishing, and we raise money to support kids in need. And, the inaugural event, we raised $100,000 net.
Yeah, 100,000 net. That's an important factor. That's what went to the charity. And the other thing I think I'm really proud of is, in terms of what you and I do a lot of, is, all that money goes to kids. Right? It's not, hey, this is administrative costs or, there's money going to us or anything like this. This is like to give money back to kids who aren't eating. Like, and that's pretty basic stuff. Like in terms of being a human, if you're a kid and you're not eating, you're not going to be able to learn. You're not going to be able to get an education. You're going to struggle in so many ways.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And I read that it was about $600 a year for one backpack for one kid. So, I mean, $100,000 goes a long ways, or maybe those numbers. Do you know if those numbers are accurate?
Yeah, those are accurate. Yeah, so that goes back to what we were saying. Like, it's not really it's tough to give it for the kid. We know that it's going for the family.
Yeah.
So food costs. It was I think when we started it was $500. Now it's $600 is the cost.
Yeah.
So the costs are going up, and the need is still there, and so
the need's also going up.
Yeah,
it is,
and so So it's the Mike Choka Sturgeon Invitational.
Yeah.
The Mike Choka Sturgeon Invitational is pretty amazing, and that's just the first step. And really, what we're really focused on is for every dollar anybody contributes to it, it goes to the program. It actually goes to feeding the kids. And the way that we do that is, the sponsors, and we have a great list of sponsors that helped us with that. They cover the cost to put it on.
Yeah. And so the costs, were the cost of the guides, and those are the big costs, and some food for lunches, et cetera, dinner, and so the I think one of the great things we could do through that event is you give a full tax receipt for all the money you give, and that's been great. And
every dollar donated goes like it's one for one. There's no administration costs or anything taken out. All of the costs were paid for by the sponsors.
By the sponsors, and you guys were one of the sponsors.
So was Odlum Brown.
Yeah. We're a sponsor too. So the giving back, why is that important to you?
I go back to, like, I strongly believe in, people, there's always going to be a time in somebody's life that they need help. And it's just for a short period of time. And if we're able to help them in that time of need, it goes a long way. And that's why I believe in giving back. Everybody needs a little bit of help sometime. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That goes further back, though, in terms of your origin story. Maybe talk a bit about your grandfather.
That's where you're going. So, that value was instilled in me by my grandfather, who was raised in an orphanage when he was from 8 years old to an adult. He was in an orphanage, and he turned out to be fairly successful in his own right. And one of the values he instilled in me was, people need help sometimes. And if you're in a situation or position in life where you're able to help, it's your duty to help.
Mm-hmm.
So why this organization, Paul? I mean, obviously there's a lot of great organizations and charities that need money and need support. Why did you choose a Starfish Backpack Program?
The Starfish back, it goes back to it literally landed in our laps. It was helping Allison Clothorpe raise some money, and the need was for the kids, and we did it through Chilliwack Community Services, and Luke and I, we picked up the phone, and I think the first 2 weeks we raised $40,000. And we go, Chilliwack is such a great community where people are willing to help if it's going to the right place and the right cause. And definitely supporting kids is, it's a need in our community, and the community is willing to support that. So for us, I hate to say it's not a no-brainer, but like Luke said earlier, like kids that if you can't, you're too hungry at school to think,
yeah,
it's going to be pretty tough to get ahead. So
is it important for you to sort of protect the younger generation so that they, to protect the future generations, essentially?
Yeah, I don't know what the stats are, but it's definitely, if you're able to help a child, the younger they are, the better off they're going to be, and as an adult. So the sooner we can help, the better off it is for that individual, and it's also better it is for society. So
one of the other projects that you've had a real passion for, and you and I have developed together over quite a number of years, is the Paramount project, and we're doing that through Chilliwack Community Services as well. So tell me a bit about your vision for that, how that developed over time, and so just a bit of background. The Paramount project is a construction project that we're working on through Community Services, and it will house 56 seniors, 8 youth, and our entire commercial operation for Chilliwack Community Services. So it's, I think, a 6-story building that's being built on Yale Road presently. It's a large structure in the community. So and that's been a very long-term project that you had a real vision for. So tell us a bit about that background.
Yeah, at the very beginning when I was on the board of Chilliwack Community Services, at the time, we had 3 buildings or 3 locations, and we were expanding to a 4th. And the 4th was 2 of them we owned, and 1 of them we're leasing out. And then the 4th expansion we were buying, and really it was one of these things where as the need of the community grows, and the organization grows, we need space for our people. And what was happening is that we were either having to buy new space or lease new space, and it just didn't make a lot of sense, both from a culture point of view of the organization, and also from an economic point of view, because you weren't utilizing the space fully to its capacity. So was that really the best decision? Should we be leasing or buying it? So we started the process of really looking at what were we using the space for. Could we use the spaces that we had in a more efficient way? And through that process, we were able to eliminate some programs that didn't make sense at all. But also we also came to the conclusion that we can amalgamate it under one roof, sell the properties and have one space, which would be better for the organization. And if we're going to do that, well, we might as well put some housing on top of it. And that's how it kind of started. Yeah, because I think
how long ago did that vision kind of crystallize for you?
Well, we're dealing with the government, so unfortunately, it took a little longer than we thought. I think, when did we start doing this? 10 years ago?
Probably 8 years ago. But there was a lot of steps because we had to sell properties and amalgamate locations. There was a lot that took place in terms of getting us to the point we're at now.
No, yeah, I agree. But I think the first property we sold, that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But the process, because we had to get the board on board. And so, first it was the process of looking at, so yeah, no, it's been quite a long time.
Decade in the making.
Yeah, a decade. Takes a long time.
When's the project going to be completed, or when's it projected?
2024.
2024.
Yeah, the beginning. They're even saying hopefully the beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
Driven by, they've already broken ground, and it's already looks like it's going up.
Yeah, it's amazing. The structure's up now. It's all the internal, the drywall and the electrical. Yeah. Apparently, that takes a little more time.
And I did a tour of it the other day. It's really cool to walk through these units and see, that's 56 seniors that are going to be housed in a really, really nice building, and 8 youth. And that's, something that is such a big need in our community. Is that important to you? And why are those things important to you?
I keep on going back to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
People need help. So, the food program is just one avenue of Chilliwack Community Services. You know, their tagline is kind of twinkle to twilight. And, you know, on the youth side, we have a facility, housing facility on School Street, and that's really for kids who are minors. But when they become of age, they don't have anywhere to go. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the catalysts for the youth housing at the Paramount Project was to create that space for them where they're able to transition from School Street to Paramount. And that was a big thing for us because, you know, mm-hmm. it's really tough to support a minor and say, you know, you're an adult now and see you later. Like that's really tough.
And then the 56 seniors, I mean, obviously there's a gap in the government care, and there's like certain people, you talk about people in need, and there's unfortunately there's just only so many programs, and there's only so much that the government can provide. And so these like Chilliwack Community Services sort of steps in and fills in some of those gaps by providing additional services and assistance to people that you know, fall through the main stops, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, you know, the seniors are kind of they're there, but nobody really, you know, the struggles they have it's unfortunately it's more financial. They're on fixed income, and you know, the income they had was probably set 20 years ago, but the cost of housing's significantly gone up over that period of time, but their income hasn't. And meeting their housing needs, it's really tough. Either they need to downsize, or they need to move to a community that's further away, and that's not the right choice for them either. So hopefully, you know, these units, you know, will help meet some of that demand, but it's not going to solve it all.
Are they also? This is just inquiry from my part, I guess. But are there also like care components as well in those homes, or are they just specifically for residential?
Strictly residential, yeah. Yeah, sure. and scooters. There's lots of scooter parking.
That makes sense.
So one of the things that
and prime real estate for the scooter park.
Yeah, one of the things that you and I did, and we talked about the board going down to 4 people, and like it was building a new board really, and maybe talk a bit about that, the vision that you had for that, and building that board and bringing people to bear on these programs that we've developed.
Oh yeah, I say it's our vision. You know, when the board was down to the 4 individuals, and then we looked at where the organization was going forward and what our focus was, and really it was very clear that point in time, that was 10 years ago, mm-hmm. really is that, you know, we need amalgamate space. We need to get our costs under control. And it was really at that point in time that, you know, we needed to deal with our real estate properties and the vision there. We built the board, both you and I, around building programs around housing, food security, and building the Paramount Project, and the board reflects that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty proud of the board. Like, you know, where it came from. It you know, when I first got onto that board to where it is now, it's a very committed, passionate board about, you know, executing on what's right for Chilliwack Community Services. I don't think there's any one board member on there just for the sake of for the wrong reasons. They're there to actually support the organization going forward. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think that's something that we should be really proud of. All right, Brian and Luke, I really want to thank you for your time here. This new podcast show, I'm not really sure what it is because Luke told me to wear a suit, but for those of you, I don't know what you're going to see, but there's this microphone right stuck up my nose.
No, the camera's over there somewhere.
It's the camera. Oh, there's the camera. So you're actually going to see.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that. Yeah. So
Brian and I are going to sing to you. Country girl, shake it for me, girl. Shake.
Is how we're going to end every show, Paul.
Take your shirt off.
So, Paul, thanks so much for coming out. Really appreciate your time. And more importantly, way more importantly, we just thanks so much for everything you do in the community. And you've inspired me to do so much more. And I've appreciated our friendship and everything we've done together. So thanks again for coming out.
You're watching The Luke Bryan Show.